This is a case that I posted on TDO Clinical the other day. There's a lot of comments on it and a lot of feeling that the case shouldn't have been done. The original case was done 30 years ago and has been asymptomatic, although now there is a palatal swelling and it looks like it's draining through a fistula on the lingual. So to start the case, we use our signal to get started. I'll hold my hands out. That tells Joy to get ready. And I position the microscope and then hold it for her to get perfectly positioned and comfortable. We're using three extenders on the assistant scope for this particular procedure. Palatal flaps are tough under the microscope. There's no question about it. So our adrenaline is flowing. As most TDers know, we give all of our anesthesia under the microscope just because it's just much easier, much more efficient, and it's actually a lot better than giving it with the naked eye. So we gave some buccal infiltrations and then a nasopalatine block right through the incisive foramen after numbing up the lingual sulcular tissue a little bit on the palate. Here's the sulcular incision or injection. And you can see with the microscope, this is completely painless. Here's the nasopalatine block. We used a shorter hub needle initially and then the longer hub needle and took it all the way up the foramen. So this gives profound anesthesia, block anesthesia for the procedure. The patient felt nothing during the procedure. And then we did a sulcular incision around the anterior foreteeth. And use these microscalpels to try and keep the epithelial lining of the sulcus intact during the incision, microsurgically dissecting the papilla out, and then basically curetting the granulomatous tissue that filled the resorptive defect. And here I'm using our ball ultrasonic tip to do a crown lengthening procedure. So I'm removing some of the bone away from the tooth structure there. So I'll have about 2 millimeters of tooth structure. I want a nice margin to be able to finish my reparative restoration too. So we use a variety of bends on these ultrasonic tips. This is Donnie's new ball tip that he's made. It's bendable. So we bend it at the appropriate angle because this is undercut quite a bit under the coronal aspect of the defect. We need to get into that cul-de-sac area. We do this ultrasonically. Obviously, you can't do this with a burr. And we got it fairly well cleared out. We had some pretty good hemostasis here. We were able to control that fairly well without using any chemicals at all, just simply irrigation. And we did this all just using articaine. So we had a pretty good look at the defect and felt fairly certain that we had it pretty well cleaned out. And I wanted to have maybe a little bit more of a crown lengthening type procedure so that I had a very clear margin of the tooth. So we went in with, Donnie's developed these micro finishing ultrasonic tips. So I basically went into the ligament space, cleaned out any granulation tissue, and it really exposed the margins of the crown really well, so it was easy to see. Removed a little bit of the bone there. So we had a very clean demarcation between the bone, the periodontal ligament, and the dentin of the root. Now I'm going back in with the ball here, and I'm just rounding. I don't want any really sharp edges. I'm just rounding the periphery, kind of feathering the dentin there. I'm using the ball here. This is a non-diamond ball, actually, and I've got it cut down to about 50%, or I think on this one it's actually like at 25%. So it's not really cutting, it's just kind of chamfering the edge of the dentin to make a nice smooth finish line on it. It makes it a little easier when you're finishing the composite resin off at the end of the procedure. And what we did, I used flowable composite here, and I put it in probably 6 or 7 different layers. If you put in it too much, it runs all over the place. So I put it in very thin layers, cured it, then another layer, cured it, then another layer. So we did 6 or 7 layers here. And I like a very thin layer because I can kind of play with it with the Endo Explorer and try to add some of the natural contour to the root form there. And then I went back in with Donnie's new ultrasonic tip and just got the excess. Some of the flowable obviously will flow over the ligament and onto the bone, so you need to remove that. And because there's a very clean and clear margin of the dentin, it's very easy to go in and do this with ultrasonics. Again, I'm using the ultrasonics here in just kind of a feathering motion and at half power. And we actually did this with water and without water. I'm showing the without water here just so that you can see it. Joy is there with her Stropco, cleaning everything off. This is hard with palatal flaps because you have to hold the flap out of the way. The assistant really needs an extra hand, and the doctor needs an extra hand. So we feathered this in, chamfered the filling down so it was nice and flush and smooth with the dentinal wall, the root wall that you can see there. I much prefer to do this with this tip rather than a diamond in a burr. It's just easier for me. I know some people think they can do it with a diamond, but to me, I have much more control. Like you can see there's some excess flowable composite that's gone into the ligament space, and I'm just feathering it back and making it very, very smooth. I have a lot of control with the ultrasonic tip, at least in my hands. And then just a final kind of cleaning up procedures just to make sure it was as smooth as we could possibly make it. And then we're going to polish it with some polishing things, try to make it as smooth as we possibly can. And there's our polishing discs. I've tried to keep this video under 10 minutes. It's hard to show a 2-hour procedure in 10 minutes, but that's basically the high points of what we did. And then we just sutured it together. Tissue came together very, very nicely. And that's the final radiograph. So it's a herodontics case. I think you could make a very strong case for an implant here for sure, but this is what I do is I position the scope and get ready. I use my universal signal to Joy, hold the microscope, and then she positions herself. We do this before we start on any case. There I'm actually starting the camera. So now I am videotaping the entire procedure on the flash card in the camera. And here we're just taking the sutures out. But during this procedure, I'm going to be wanting to take some still photographs at the same time that will go through Breeze right into the patient's record. And Joy will be taking these, so we're taking the stitches out now, and then I'll be taking some pictures. She sees me reach for the Stropco, so she knows I'm going to be taking some pictures because I'm drying things off. And she's actually doing this. This is an earlier part of the video, just so you can see how we're able to take video and pictures at the same time, contemporaneously. And now I've got the sutures out and I'm taking some pictures, and she's actually snapping them here as we're taking. And I'm looking because I just want to make sure the focus is exactly what I want. It's not that important at the lower mags, but at higher mags, just a slight change in the focus can make a difference. So we're taking some low mag ones here, and then later some high ones. So here are the lower mag ones, and then here are the higher mag pictures that we took during this time.